Okay, we're going to start the workshop on the no power line, transmission line, so that people will know what the current status is on the activities going on, because they're starting to ramp up. So at this point, we'll all rise and pledge to the flag. What time is it? 9:05. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Okay, now, I did give a short summary in the regular town board meeting, but I wanted to expand on that and let everybody get more detail as to what's happening. And it's coming about finally, even though we see no need for it financially. Every study that the state has conducted, any study that we as the Hudson Valley Smart Energy Coalition did, said, you know, you spend $1 and you're going to get only 75 cents back in return. If you ran a business like that, you would go broke very quickly. But the governor won it, and he says he's going to do it. So, and the vehicle he used to do it, we can't fight because there are no rules on that. So I'm just trying to alert the community as to what's happening. Now, right now, the ISO, Independent Service Operators, which is composed of people from all the companies like NYSEC, Central Hudson, Consolidated Edison, they all belong to this organization. And they regulate who gets how much electricity, who makes how, and what the prices are, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's sort of, you know, a lot of technical people are there too. So it's hard to get information out of them. So they came forth and they selected Transco, which is made up of 4 companies. National Grid is one, and Central Hudson's another one. I forget who the other 2 are. I'll find them out later. It's been so long since we heard about them. So what they're doing is they have a proposal. Independent service operators have agreed that that's the company to do it. So they're going to be coming forth to develop the plans, the more detailed plans, because everything was now on a very global format, so that when the Public Service Commission goes and brings it forth as part of the Article 7 processes, the process they have to go through either for siting generators or transmission lines, the big stuff, not the stuff that goes along your little roads. So that process we went through once. That failed. We got a lot of things through that process, but no determination was made on a supplier. So they went out for a rebid. That's what NISO did. They analyzed everybody up and down, questioned them for like 2 years, and now they said Transco is the company. Now, Transco's got to provide a lot of detailed information on where the poles are going to be. These are monopoles. On one side will be 135 kVA. On the other side will be 345 kVA. And the poles, according to what we got Cuomo to agree to, are supposed to be no higher than the existing towers. Towers are about 60 feet, if I remember right. So it's clear that they're not going to meet every one of those. There may be some a little taller that are in a valley so that they can have straight wires rather than bowing up and down. But they're supposed to be pretty close to that. We have to verify that. And then we have to verify the visual impact that it'll have on the community too. Because I've said in the past, if these things are very big, we may have to have lights on top, the flashing red lights for airplanes and things of this nature. Don't know. So These are some of the things there. And then we have the environmental thing where they're going through wetlands, the sacred species of this, that, and the other thing that they got to watch out for. And it's a very involved process. So it's expected that the latter part of this year, I'll say the fourth quarter of this year, the plan will come out from Public Service Commission to provide enough information and detail for us to start the Article 7 process. In the Article 7 process, all the companies that had developed or submitted plans had to put money into a kitty, and that's called intervenor funds. And those funds then are allocated to the various town governments, some of the local organizations, whatever it is. Could be Scenic Hudson, it could be Hudson Valley Smart Energy Coalition, could be anybody. So in the past, when we did this, we went and said, okay, let's get like 3 towns together or 2 towns in an organization or so, and we'll all merge our efforts and we'll all go and get one set of money to cover one topic. Like we had one on environment, in other words, animals, plants, and all that kind of stuff. We had another one on water. We had another one on visual height of towers and where they were siting them. So financial we had. So we've gone through some of these things, and maybe we can readdress them with the same professional companies that we hired in the past and just have them upgrade it for this new information. So that process will start, but to get that, we got to get the money. The money is probably going to take 2 months to get. I mean, nothing comes quick in Albany. So then we hire, and we do have lawyers that we used in the past that can provide information and move forward on legal issues and properly putting stuff in front of the public hearing officers and stuff like that. So we'll go through that process. After that process is done, which I expect to be about a year or so, then the PSC, after a couple public hearings, will have to make a decision. Do they award the contract or not? My guess is they're going to award it. I mean, this is a done deal. It's just a matter of us causing enough confusion and complaints to get stuff done. For example, in the past, we provided enough input to prevent a boundary line or a strip along one of the 2 power lines, and we don't know which one it was going to be at that time, of 650 feet, so that they can put a new set of towers in. And we also got the restriction that the towers are not going to be higher than what we have now. In the past, they were going to be 150 feet tall. The other thing is, we said no eminent domain. Now, we may find, depending on how you got to cut some corners, when you bend around, they may do a 1/4 acre or something like that, but not a big strip like we were talking before. So we did accomplish quite a bit in the past, but now we got to make sure that the new plans don't violate these rules that we got what we thought were agreements on. So once the agreements are done and the PSC awards the contract to Transco with all the conditions that we wanted enforced on it, then Transco has got to order all the monopoles, because they got to order them to specific heights. They got to order all the wire, all the other couplings, insulators, and all of that. Also do contracts with people that build these kinds of towers, dig holes in the ground to put the towers in, concrete to put them in place, and then run up the pole to put the wires on and all. So that's probably, just getting the parts to do this is probably going to take 6 months to a year. all the stuff needed. The other part that's going to be interesting, if you look at the power lines that go behind on the east side of Center Road here, it goes over hill, dale, swamp, everything else. They got to figure out how to take 60 or 70 foot monopoles, and that's just the height part, and then they got to 5 or 10 feet into the ground. How do you take one of these great big poles, get it through the windy roads of the town, and then also get it up into where it's got to be? So that's going to be a big challenge to do all of that. So they're probably going to pay landowners easements or right-of-ways or something so that they can more conveniently get off of some hard surfaced roads rather than having to go just through the right-of-way that they own right now. But this is not just the towers. They got to drill these holes. They can't blast. If they blast, they got Central Hudson. They got the Iroquois gas line very close to it, and Iroquois does not like blasting. It sort of affects their pipes. The other part is, some places, the wires or the location of these poles are within 100 or 300 feet of where the post hole is going to be put. Well, you blast on a rock surface, that can crack your windows, it can destroy your well system because it rediverts the water flows and stuff. So it's a big deal. So as you can see, it'll probably take, to do the whole stretch from Albany down to Pleasant Valley, another year or two to build. So you're talking something maybe 4 years from now, 5 years from now, which will be up and running. We get no benefit out of that. That goes strictly straight down to New York City, but we get involved with the stuff going through our place. So that's that part of it. Now, the other interesting thing is they're going to be doing stuff now. Now, what they've sent a letter out, and I have a copy of it here, to all the landowners that are adjacent to the power lines. And they call it, YES is the new program name here, and it means New York Energy Solution. I don't know, they just picked that up, and I hadn't seen it until I saw this letter. And this letter was sent describing what they're doing, and a contact person, Shannon, up at New York Energy Solution, but she's really a National Grid person. That's who's paying for it. So I'll put that on the webpage so everybody can see it. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But I do have another information sheet on what they're doing this spring and summer, like now. And I've talked to people, and people have called me saying that they're out and about doing stuff. So what I want to do is sort of read this so you all have a clue. They're going to be doing photography work April through June, including crews taking many photographs from ground level. Ideally, there will be 2 rounds of this photography, 1 round with the leaves off the trees and 1 round with leaves on the trees. LIDAR measurements, I think that's when they do sort of radar flying over with airplanes. You see that done on the Mayan stuff in the jungles in South America there, where they can find stuff which you can't see through the trees. Will help determine an area's topography, and will also be taking crews who will use a small aircraft to take measurements using a pulsed laser light. Several control points will be needed at the ground level for the LIDAR. I assume they'll probably the geodetic survey locations, just to give them a reference, because those are cited on maps. Then that was April, June. So they should be doing that now. Noise testing, that's going to be done in May, that's now. A 2-person crew will use specialized equipment at each substation site where work is proposed in the towns of Skodadak, Claverack, and Pleasant Valley to determine ambient noise levels. The tests will run during both day and night. Some areas where roads cross the existing transmission line corridor may also be tested. The other one, which is going to affect us pretty much, is environmental surveys, and that's May through July. Environmental surveys will consist of wetland boundary flagging, identification of potential rare, threatened, and endangered species habitats, and flagging for potential areas of invasive species. The crews will consist of 2 to 3 people who will be taking photos and filling out forms. Now, we had about 20 years ago, Hudsonia go through the town of Clinton under contract to identify a lot of this environmental issue stuff. And we'll make it available to them. We did that last time. And they know then where we're going to complain about. So they got to figure out what to do about it. The other one is archaeological shovel testing. That's May and July. In order to test the archaeological significant artifacts, shovel tests will be done by crews of typically 2 people. The crew will use shovels to dig 18 by 18 inch test pits up to 3 feet deep and fill out forms and take pictures. Once this is done, the holes will be refilled. The report will be made to the State Historic Preservation Office. The other one is geotechnical testing, soil borings. That's in the summer and fall. Small machinery such as a skid steer will be mobilized to dig test holes in the transmission right-of-way to determine soil types. These tests are important for finalizing design of the transmission structure foundations. So I've had reports of people running around now doing some of that, and the photography. People have called me and said they're out and about and also doing survey work. And it could be like 3 or 4 SUVs worth of people, except where they need the bigger equipment. So they're there. We have phone numbers here. I'll give you the phone numbers and all. And as we get more information to update you, I'll do it at the next town board meeting. And again, I remind you that National Grid or Transco, whatever you want to call them, are going to be coming down to talk to us on June 27th at 7 p.m. in this town hall. And the audience will be here, and we can ask questions of them of anything relevant to what you have a concern about. And I'm sure we'll have another one of those later on, and maybe another one later after that, as we get into the Article 7 process. This is pre-Article 7 so that they can develop their specific plans to present to us, saying, here's where the poles are going to be, here's where the heights are going to be, and that whole process will be identified. And they may also, as they work their way through here, contact adjacent landowners, especially those that are between a nice hard surface macadam road and the power line, so that they can get in there with their equipment to dig the holes for the actual placement of the poles, how to get the poles into that site where they want them, and how they got to get the concrete trucks there, because they're pretty heavy. So, I mean, this is going to be a lot of stuff going on, and I don't know that they're going to start at one end and go all the way, or whether they're going to have 3 groups, depending on what it is, their speed and the cost effectiveness. We have no control over that, but we want to alert the community so that they're expecting these people. They should all have some identification. And if anybody gives you a hard time, call me at the office, send me an email, town supervisor at townofclinton.com, and then I'll report it up there and raise hell. So I thought good to tell everybody what we know. This is all stuff I've picked up within the last 2-3 weeks. So this is hot off the press according to this kind of project. So at this time, I'm going to close the meeting. And anybody in the audience here have a question?
Ray, do we know?
No, you got to.
Yeah.
You got to come up here.
I should know better, right?
Well, the people in the audience can't hear you.
Bob Trzynski, Center Road. Ray, do we know if it's going to be the east or west tower array that they're going to replace?
Yes, it's the one
The east side?
east side.
Closest to the,
Church.
for us, to the Iroquois power line?
Yes, yes,
Iroquois
it'll
pipeline.
follow along the Iroquois power line,
Okay.
and it goes down, and just south of the blinking light on Center Road, it crosses over. It goes
That's
the other
kind-
way.
That's good information. There's 2 arrays side by side, in east and the west, at the location that goes through here. Do we know which ones that they're going to?
They're taking both towers down and putting one monopole up.
They're going to take them, so that both east and west are going to go, and then there'll be one in its place.
Yeah,
Okay, that's new, thanks.
yeah, well, there were several proposals that would have done different things, but I'm not even going to get into that because that's more confusion for people. But, yeah, and in the previous iteration of this Article 7, they were saying, oh, one of the people that was bidding on it, one of the developers, said, we can replace the wires on these poles without disrupting New York City. Well, apparently now it doesn't matter. We can dump it all, get rid of all the towers, and New York City's still happy. And take the time to put the poles up and get the wires done. So it's been a strange world what's going on. So again, I'll give you a brief update again at the next town board meeting, the second Tuesday in June. And then on June 27 at 7 p.m. in the town hall, I'll update you. We'll have Transco here and come with your questions and keep your eyes open and let us know what's happening. Thank you.